from as long as you can remember having a tennis racket in your hand, and then one day it's just done. And it's the thing is, you expect it from the moment you have that tennis racket in your hand, but you never really expect it until it's over. It's just this weird feeling. At any rate, I always knew that day would come. I just didn't really know when or how. But when I did decide that it was time to move on, I had already started other businesses. I had already been investing when I I don't like the word retired, but when I evolved from tennis,
Yes.
I had already been investing for, I don't know, like 8 years at the time. I'd already had my firm. I'd already built a great team of people that were way smarter than me around the table. And it wasn't something that I would just have a hard fall from. I felt like I wanted to have a softer landing, which I don't know if I did or if I didn't. I wanted to have a softer landing, but I also didn't want to start something new when I just finished something. And that's something, again, my dad had always told me, like, you can't go into something brand new when you finish. You need to already have it started. You need to already have a plan. You know, if you don't have that plan, then it's going to be difficult to start something new. And so I was really grateful for that, because if I were to have started investing now after I retired, I mean, oh my gosh, the learning curve and doing everything, it would have taken years and years, and a lot of that experience was already done while I was playing. So,
Well, you know, it's such a good point that it is the model now that as an athlete, you're almost expected to be so much more than that. But even so, there have been a lot of public figures who've decided to go into investing, especially because you were early on in doing that. Did you face any sort of stereotypes of people rolling their eyes saying, what is an athlete doing in business?
I did. Not too many, but there are obviously a lot of people rolling their eyes and saying, like, what are you doing in investing? But again, that now was over 15 years ago. So I definitely was earlier on, I was much earlier on the curve when it came to investing. And it was something that was really innate, that I just kind of flowed to. And there was something that really just attracted me. And it was actually early stage investing that really attracted me for whatever reason at the time. Of course, I didn't know it was called early stage. I didn't know what anything was. I didn't know what a seed was. I didn't know any of that stuff. It was this really great learning experience. I loved what Jamie Dimon said earlier, how life is really just about learning. You're learning every single day. And that's kind of a theory that I love. And that's one thing I love about VC. Every time I step into the office, I feel like I'm in college and I'm learning something new about some other product and what it does and what it doesn't do, and how we don't have it yet. And so, but yeah, so for me, I always just was attracted to that. And, you know, actually in the beginning, I spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley, just sitting in different offices and just learning and just asking people, do you mind if I sit? Thankfully, they were okay to have Serena Williams sit in their office, and they weren't too embarrassed to have me there. But it was very nice to be able to sit and just learn from CEOs and learn from different people as I was investing, and just understand what I was getting into.
Come on, they must have asked you for advice too.
They did, and a couple companies did ask me for advice, and I actually gave them some really good advice, and they actually included it in their programming. And so one very popular company, which I won't say, I sat in their office a lot. The CEO is amazing. And I was like, dude, you really need to change your algorithm. This isn't quite working. You need to do this and do that. And to this day, they use it. And I'm like, gosh, I should have got something for that. But I'm like, you know what? I can silently take credit for that. And I'm okay with that.
I love that. And look, when you started Serena Ventures, your vision was very clear. You've said this many times, and I think it actually might have come out of something else Jamie Dimon said about the 2% that's left out of VC financing, that you wanted to create a fund that invested in the 98%. We're in a time in America, it's been called the K-shaped economy, where those missing out are missing out more than they ever had before.
Yeah.
Does that make the mission all the more critical at this time?
Yeah, listen, a lot of VC really invests in that 2 to 4%, right? And that is such a huge market. It's $1 trillion market. And so is the 98 to 96%. That's actually a massive, massive, massive market, arguably bigger. And so for us, what we want to do, we want to bring technology to that market. We want to bring lots of new things that is being invested to, and people that are forgotten. And also, it means a lot to me because I was a part of that percent growing up. And I think, as you said, that curve is getting wider and wider, and it's spreading more and more. or that space, I should say, is spreading more and more. And I feel not necessarily responsibility, but I just feel attracted to that. And I really love investing in things that are doing good, but also making a lot of money, quite frankly. And we have lots of companies in our portfolio that's doing just that.
I was going to say, last year you gave a statistic. I think you had said you invested in over 85 companies and 14 of them were unicorns. That is an insanely high hit rate. That definitely deserves an applause. That is a hit rate near 16%, and I think something the entirety of Silicon Valley would be very jealous of.
Yeah.
What's the secret sauce?
There is no secret sauce. I think it's really just really understanding what you like and what you do and really going with your gut on things that make sense. And obviously through experience, I've learned that when I meet the founders, there's different questions that I ask to see if they're really into the business, if they're not, and how does that work. And so really doing due diligence, really getting to know what founders are talking about, really getting to understand their thought processes. As an investor, you're only as good as your founder, and you want them to be the best that they can be. And so for me, and what I do is I try to talk to our founders and try to figure out, how can I help you? How can we get this product to be the best if we believe in it? Is there a marketplace for it? You know, all the basic questions, but really diving deeper into that and why. And so that's just kind of what we do at Serena Ventures, is just kind of learn how we can fill in different gaps in different areas that are being missed. And by the way, these gaps tend to be really, really massive. And that's what we do. And then when you kind of have a focus and you focus on that, it just sometimes works.
In terms of talking to these founders, you also said recently that your name isn't enough, that they are being more choosy. What do you think it is about this moment that founders are being more choosy with who they decide to work with?
I think we live in an era where technology is just obviously taking over. And then if you have something really unique and that's really going to set off and it's going to be really amazing, then obviously the founder is in a position where they can choose who their investors are. So what we want to do is we want to be able to add to the table. We want to be able to bring so much to them that they can expand we can help them with their network. We can get them in different areas and open different doors for them. And so you really have to be able to not only just rely on your name, but really just rely on your team and on your expertise and on your experience. And that's what we did. We really brought in a lot of experience to the firm to be able to really take our founders to that next level, because that's what it's all about, is how are we able to take the founders to the next level. And also me, years and years of doing what I did in the past, building up tons of relationships and being able to open so many different doors for so many different founders has been invaluable, really. And so that's kind of what it really is all about for us, is really just having this opportunity to let founders know we are more than a name. We are really an institution. We are an institution. We're building something that's going to last for a very long time. We're investing in companies that we want to last for a very long time and that are actually changing how people are living their everyday lives and changing them for the better and upgrading them through, whether it's through software or whether it's through hardware. We want to be able to elevate that. And so those are the things that we think about. And founders are at a position where, and in particular now with AI and everything, they're in a position to bring who they want to the table if their product is good.
Well, it's a moment where VC is obsessed with AI. I think that's fair to say. The latest data from PitchBook says that nearly $200 billion have gone into specifically AI-related startups this year. By far a record, and will be the first year on record where more than half of VC money goes to AI-related startups. Again, keeping in mind the investing for the 98%, are you concerned about that concentration of capital?
Not at all. Everything that we invest in, if they don't have a future in AI, if they're not thinking about AI, we're second guessing our investment in them. And we are trying to say, well, if you're not going to do this, this can be problematic, because if your business can be taken over by AI, that's going to be a problem. I heard on stage earlier, AI isn't a problem. People that aren't using AI is going to be a problem. And so I think there's some real truth to that, because you have to be able to incorporate it in your life in one way or the other. If you have a fintech company and then you can go on an AI program and they can do the same thing, then why would someone put money into your fintech company? So for us, it's very important. If we're really going to be able to impact that large percentage of people, 98, 96%, you're not going to be able to impact them in the future without AI. And so for us, it's very important that we too obviously are, I mean, who's not bullish on AI? We obviously are bullish on AI, and so we absolutely invest in that. And then when we talk to our founders, we want to know what they are doing just to make sure that they're not going to be run over with AI and our investment dollars aren't going down the toilet.
So have you turned away a lot of companies because they don't have that clear AI game plan?
No, because every company has AI, so they say. But when you dive deeper, you realize that they might not have AI.
Right.
And then we turn them away. But not every company, because not everything is, AI.
Right.
But I think of it this way. I think of it, I don't know, 20 years ago with the web. When it came out, it was so new and so fresh and like, wow, we're going to be living on the internet. And there's this really cool interview, I think, with David Letterman and, oh my God, I can't believe oh my gosh. Anyway.
Someone in the AI space,
No,
Okay.
Anyway, okay. So he's telling everyone that the internet is this cool thing, and David is like, well, I can just listen to the radio for that. Like, why would I need to stream something on? And he's saying in the future you'll be able to stream sports on the internet. And David is like, well, that's what I have the radio on, and everyone in the crowd claps and they're laughing, and I'm like, wow, this is dated. Because can you imagine saying that now? And it's quite interesting because now we're doing this again in AI, but think of it as like 100 times bigger. Right. And so of course you want your companies to have that integration, and of course you want to have that. And so that's kind of how we look at it.
It is, though, again, sort of in the idea of the K-shaped economy with the bridge getting wider. You are someone who's always been fascinated with technology. I think that's also fair to say.
Always, since the sidekick.
So you've been there since day one with the little, I miss the sidekick.
Well, since
keyboard.
Before the sidekick.
Bring back keyboards on our phones, I think. How are you thinking about like AI as a whole and how it might disrupt just society? Do you have any concerns there, especially as you're working again with everyday people and entrepreneurs and figuring out how to integrate AI? Is there a concern we lose? I
think there is obviously a concern, but I think what we try to do at what I'm doing now is just bring people into it and let them know that it's one thing. Some platforms in AI, they're so easy and it's very user friendly, and so I think that's a little bit of a difference as well. AI is very user friendly, and so a lot of people can adapt to it, and so a lot of people are adapting to it. So I feel like it's just the integration doesn't have to be as difficult as a lot of people think. Of course, there's going to be a lot of jobs left behind on the table. Of course, there's going to be a lot of things, but there's also going to be other things that open up. And so I think eventually we'll see that. I am not a person that predicts the future. I don't know, and I'm not an expert on that. But what I can say is that there is going to be obviously there has already been a huge shift and a huge change, and it's going to continue to be that, but there will be other opportunities that open up as well.
So Serena, you're involved in many ventures, from VC, as we've been discussing, to partnering with brands, to own personal investments in things like sports. What is a week like in Serena Inc.?
Oh my God, it's insane. I don't know how I survive. I had a coffee earlier because usually I don't have this much energy, and this is a lot of energy for me. So imagine low. So a week, I have calls, team calls, SV calls, Serena Ventures calls, I should say. And I also have 2 kids, and I am like the ultimate hands-on mom. I take them to school, I pick them up. I cook every night, except for the weekends. I kind of check out on the weekends. But I check back in on Monday morning. I love cooking, so that's like my thing. And I still travel. I still work with different brands like Nike and other companies. So it is, this week I was actually in Atlanta for a couple days, and I'm here, and in between I was at home, and I'm going to LA in a couple of days, and this is a crazy week. So it's kind of nonstop. And so I also meal prep for my kids, so I cook things that they can eat while I'm out of town.
By the way, speaking of that, I heard you once say that Olympia's interning at her dad's company.
No. My daughter is interning at my company.
Oh, she's interning. Excuse me, that is my fault.
He did claim summer internship. I'm
see.
like, okay, but I get the rest of the year. She needs to see amazing women doing amazing things, and not that he isn't. He's doing, his things are way more amazing than mine. I mean, my husband's a genius. But she can get the genius in the summer, and she can get me the rest of the year. So it's really nice. It's cool, because I always have, like, my niece and nephew interned for me when I was a tennis player, and so now Olympia's going to do it, but on the business side. So it's going to be fun to see.
I love that. So you're definitely encouraging her to go the business route of things.
No, I want her to be a tennis player, obviously. That's way more fun. But she can do business if she wants to.
I love that. So one thing that, again, you've done as a very, from a very young age, is working with different brands and understanding what sort of fits your portfolio, who you want to endorse and who you don't. In an age of social media, there's just so much more demand for those types of deals. How do you think about it? How do you evaluate different brand deals, different endorsements, and making sure you don't dilute your own personal brand?
I think for me, when it comes to aligning with different brands, I really have to align with something that speaks to me, and something that I use, or something that I can benefit from, or something that is very authentic to me. And I think, as you said, now, in the era of social media, new generation, they really can see through the BS, right? And so it's really important. I think brands has also understood this and caught on that if it's not authentic, it's not going to work. And so a lot of things are doing better now because they're using either micro-influencers, or they're using influencers and not necessarily celebrities, because it's very authentic to them, and they're actually using the product, and they show how the product works, et cetera, et cetera. And for me, when I align with a brand, I usually like to have a very long-term relationship. Sometimes I even know people before we actually work together. But it has to be very authentic. It has to be something that I truly believe in from my soul, and that I can really go out there and talk about. I don't want to go out there and talk about something that's fake and that's not real, because I just can't do that. And so for me, it's very important to be able to talk about something that's real, that I've had a real hands-on experience with, and that I can really, understand.
I say that feels like a through line to your investments as well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. When it comes to investing as well, I like to really make sure, maybe I don't use it, but I want to make sure that I understand it. And if I were younger, or if I were older, like, we do a ton of stuff in health, and women's health as well. And I think that's such a big, important part of this conversation. That's half of our population. Yeah. That's a huge,
target. If I'm not mistaken, one of your portfolio companies was the first to get FDA approval for at-home pap smears.
Yes.
Which is huge.
It's huge. And so women's health, historically, it's huge. It's this company called Till. They got FDA approved, and it was a very long process. We invested in them a long time ago. Very long process. They finally got approved to have an at-home pap smear, which is something really that should have existed for women a long time ago. And the fact that it took that long to get approval, that's another story. But women's health is something that's been totally forgotten. But the difference is now with technology and this new generation that's aging and that's getting older, they're comfortable talking about things that weren't really so open in the past. And so now that they're comfortable talking about it, they're comfortable investing in it, they're comfortable getting more information behind it, and they want to feel better. We want to feel better, right? And so it's such an incredibly interesting sector to invest in, because it's such a big market, and it also helps so many people. And that's what I said, that's the intersection between helping people and being successful at it. And there's so many intersections like that. It's not just women's health, it's just so many different areas. But that's another one of our passions, is just to invest in things like that that are helping, changing, and also fruitful.
Yeah. Well, one of the other sectors that you've invested in is sports, something you've also done for a while, from the Miami Dolphins here in Miami to more recently the new Toronto Tempo WNBA franchise. What's the investment thesis driving those?
Well, gosh, I did the Dolphins, honestly, I want to say 18 years ago. So I've really been investing for a very long time, way before it was popular for athletes to invest. Gosh, obviously, I think that's a obvious next step for us. I mean, we do a lot of boring, non-sexy software, things. But now we are definitely doing more in sport. I do a little stuff on the personal side for sport as well. But I don't know, I feel like it's quite interesting to do a little bit more in sport.
Are you looking at more in sport then, it sounds like?
Well, yeah, I've always been obviously interested in sport, I would say. Sport's pretty cool.
A very fair assumption.
A lot of people are investing in women's sport, and I feel like obviously that's where my heart and soul is for obvious reasons. And it's interesting because people are just noticed women's sport. And I'm like, whoa, women's sport has been around for decades and decades and decades, and we were always amazing, and you guys just noticed. But it's good that we're getting noticed now, and I love the support that it's getting. And so the best way to show that support is to invest.
Well, again, a lot of your investing philosophy comes from sport. And one thing I remember you've said is that success is about how you handle the losses. Mm-hmm. That's abundantly clear in just the absolute upper echelons that you perform as an athlete. When it comes to businesses, what's been a tough business loss, and what has it taught you? Have you applied the same lesson in what you're doing now?
I mean, there's some investments that I missed that are huge right now. And that was a loss. How do I take that? It's just, you just have to learn, like, why did you pass on it or why did you miss it? And also in the future, like, if you do pass on something or you do miss something or you just don't see it and it just, for whatever reason, at that moment it doesn't connect with you or anyone on your team, then we literally will take our calls and we go back and we try to, I want to know who did the pass, why did we do the pass, who was on the call, and we really dive into it. I think that's the athlete in me, is just going back to understanding. It's like you study film. And I kind of bring that to the firm as like, okay, I need to know every single reason why it didn't work, why we passed, what was the method behind it, who wrote the pass, who called. And also, so what we do now is if we do pass, because we're such early stage investors, so we do now have an opportunity to invest in follow-ons. So what we do now is like, okay, what can we do better? If we pass on something, let's stay in contact with these founders. If we just stay in contact with them, we check in on them. That way, if they're doing successful and they do raise another round of funding, we still have that opportunity to invest in the next round at a higher valuation, but we still have that opportunity to invest. And so that's kind of how we handled those losses in the past. And so now, even if we do miss something, which is inevitable in VC, in particular now that everyone is doing AI, so now what we do is we just say, okay, we try to stay in contact with our founders and we pass on. We're very kind. We give them different reasons, but we always let them know we would love to stay in contact and continue to learn and how you're growing. And we've actually passed recently on a couple of investments, but we stayed in contact with them, and then we came in on a later round and happened to be discounted because they really wanted the firm in there. And all because we incorporated that loss, it made us better. Sometimes losing is important because we learn very valuable lessons. And now, if we hadn't lost, we wouldn't be in all these other amazing companies that we got into.
Serena, I'd love to end kind of where we began, this idea that it wasn't a retirement, it was an evolution.
Yes.
What's next in the evolution of Serena Williams?
What's next in the evolution of Serena? Time off, just definitely taking a breather. I never took too much time off, maybe a vacation. I don't know, I've really tried to build a really great team so I can take a lot of time off. Maybe one more hire and then I could take an even bigger step back. And so that's what's next.
I love that.
Yes.
And that is a perfect note to end it on, so we can give Serena some time off. Everyone, please join me in thanking Serena Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful.
When a pioneering investment inspires you to dig deeper and step up to the highest level, that's the PIF effect.
At the Adam Smith Center for Economic Freedom, you don't just learn, you achieve. Through our interdisciplinary Bachelor of Science in Business and Government Leadership, you'll gain perspective, innovate, and connect with real-world leaders.
It starts with me.
It starts with me.
It starts with me.
It starts with you.
Leadership starts here.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Our live broadcast to the world will resume shortly. The America Business Forum continues with the live show after the countdown. We'll continue in just 15 minutes. Please return to your seats. The world's most inspiring conversations are about to resume. We're starting in 5 minutes. Please take your seats. The America Business Forum continues live from Miami. We're starting in 5 minutes. Please take your seats. The America Business Forum continues live from Miami.
There are moments when opportunity comes knocking, and you have the chance to say yes. When things that previously seemed impossible are now within reach. As a dedicated financial partner, we help you accomplish your largest business goals and realize your most cherished personal dreams, bringing your possibilities a little closer. City National Bank. Say yes to possibility.
When a pioneering investment inspires you to dig deeper and step up to the highest level. That's the PIF effect.
At the Adam Smith Center for Economic Freedom, you don't just learn, you achieve. Through our interdisciplinary Bachelor of Science in Business and Government Leadership, you'll gain perspective, innovate, and connect with real-world leaders.
It starts with me.
It starts with me.
It starts with me. It starts with you.
Leadership starts here.
A Chewy order is on the way for Junior, who's more of a senior these days. Every holiday, Dad relies on Chewy for the gifts Junior has loved all his life.
You're looking great. Come on. Okay, buddy. Strong boy. That's a strong boy.
And gets them delivered faster than the years go by. For holidays with pets, there's Chewy.
America Business Forum proudly presents the President of Argentina, Javier Milei. From the chaos of crisis to the stage of history, the social media star turned president of a divided nation, a leader who dared to challenge the system and rewrite Argentina's future. The man who created a following from voicing his unwavering principles of freedom. America Business Forum presents Javier Milei.
Hola a todos. No, gracias a ustedes, por favor. Gracias por recibirme con tanto cariño. Muchas gracias. Absolutamente que vamos a hacer Argentina y América great again. Y no se dejen intimidar por algunos resultados locales. Primero que nada, quiero agradecer a los organizadores del American Business Forum y en especial a su presidente Francis Suárez por la invitación. Es un honor estar acá rodeado de figuras tan destacables como el presidente Trump, un amigo tanto personal como de la República Argentina. También me alegra poder compartir escenario con uno de nuestros más ilustres deportistas y orgullo de todos los argentinos, Lionel Messi. Un hombre que llevó el talento argentino a lo más alto del mundo, una prueba viviente de que el esfuerzo, la dedicación y la pasión son capaces de generar milagros. Y la prueba de que a veces yo también puedo felicitar a un zurdo. Quiero aprovechar este foro de empresarios, líderes, deportistas y pensadores para volver sobre una cuestión que informa toda nuestra gestión en Argentina. Por demasiado tiempo nos acostumbramos a escuchar de parte de políticos e intelectuales que el capitalismo era una suerte de mal necesario con el que tenemos que convivir en nuestras sociedades. Por supuesto, también existen quienes militan abiertamente el comunismo y la economía planificada, pero son los menos y están en el margen de nuestros sistemas políticos. Pero la posición a la que quiero referirme está mucho más extendida en Occidente. Hablo de la crítica al libre mercado para justificar la intervención estatal. Esta es más normal y popular. Ha ganado cientos de elecciones legítimas a lo largo del último siglo en el continente americano y europeo, y por eso mismo es aún más nociva. Para no aburrirlos, voy a resumir un argumento. Ellos conceden que el capitalismo es la única forma que encontramos de asegurar crecimiento económico, pero sostienen que dicho crecimiento impacta de forma muy desigual en la sociedad y también, por su propia dinámica, tiende a estancarse. Por eso, según dicen, necesitaríamos que el Estado intervenga activamente en el mercado. El Estado, según ellos, debe meterse ahí para asegurar la igualdad entre los ciudadanos y evitar que surjan monopolios o fallas de mercado. El libre mercado, según ellos, no es óptimo para garantizar el crecimiento y termina impidiendo el bienestar general para favorecer a unos pocos, en detrimento de las grandes mayorías. El argumento establece que se necesita un crecimiento con justicia social y el Estado tiene que tener un rol activo en la vida económica para asegurarlo. Según esta visión, de nada valen todos los mieles del crecimiento sin que el Estado las redistribuya. En otras palabras, el capitalismo es solo un mal necesario, que siempre tiene que estar atado a la beneficencia estatal. Creo que todos aquí sabemos a dónde conducen estas ideas tan extendidas. Valiéndose de ellas, el Estado se expande más y más y más año tras año, metiéndose no solo en las actividades propias del quehacer económico, sino también en la vida de los individuos hasta que no queda nada por fuera de él. Siempre surge una nueva justificación para que los funcionarios públicos extiendan sus garras insaciables sobre la sociedad civil. Bajo la excusa de engrandecer a una nación y hacer el bien a sus ciudadanos, se engrandece el Estado como si significara lo mismo. Y esto sucede hasta que llegamos al mismo destino que los que tienen al menos la honestidad intelectual de decir que odian al capitalismo, el control total del Estado sobre la economía y la vida de las personas, o sea, el comunismo. Tomemos por caso el ejemplo de Cuba, donde Fidel Castro llegó prometiendo justicia social, democracia y una economía planificada, y falleció después de más de 50 años de gobierno dictatorial, gritando comunismo o muerte. Por demasiado tiempo la respuesta procapitalista a este desafío del Estado fue reclamar el milagro económico que significó para el mundo el capitalismo de libre empresa. Porque es cierto, los datos no mienten y están de nuestro lado. Es decir, gracias a la economía de mercado, una innumerable cantidad de gente salió de la pobreza extrema y posibilitó una cantidad innumerable de maravillas tecnológicas y científicas. Pero esto no alcanza. Porque un argumento moral no puede responderse nunca con un argumento fáctico. De hecho, no puede sugerirse el derecho de ser, no puede nunca concluirse el debe ser. Y por eso, este argumento de izquierda ha ganado en la lucha por las ideas. Por eso en Occidente nos encontramos cada día más cerca de ese comunismo que antes mirábamos con horror del otro lado de la cortina de hierro. Por eso, si concedemos que el capitalismo es un mal necesario, ya habremos perdido. Aunque ganemos momentáneamente, tarde o temprano volverán, porque ellos seguirán siendo los dueños de la vara que determina el bien y el mal, y dirán qué es justo y qué no lo es. No podemos volver a cometer ese error. Por eso, hoy vengo a decirles que el capitalismo no es mal alguno, sino que es la forma que toma la verdadera justicia en este mundo. porque es la consecuencia natural de la dignidad y la libertad del hombre, al cual le pertenece el fruto de su trabajo. No tenemos en esta vida muchos derechos naturales más allá del derecho a ser dueños del sudor de nuestra frente, que no es más que el derecho a ser dueños y disponer libremente de nuestro tiempo de vida, ya sea para usarlo para nosotros mismos o venderlos a otros como fuerza de trabajo. Es eso lo que nos hace a todos hombres libres y nos diferencia de los esclavos, institución nefasta abolida precisamente por las sociedades libres antes que ninguna otra. De esta libertad se deriva el derecho a la propiedad privada y a la discreción para disponer de ella dentro de los márgenes de la ley común. La inversión, el ahorro, el consumo solo son fenómenos que emergen de esta simple verdad. Aviso que los controles de renta es un ataque al derecho de propiedad, afecta al sistema de precios, afecta al funcionamiento del sistema y termina destruyendo todo a su paso. Cuando el Estado y los intelectuales le ponen a este derecho natural el nombre de capitalismo para vilipendiarlo y justificar la intervención del Estado, no solo están destruyendo el crecimiento para encontrar sus supuestos óptimos económicos, sino que también están violando el más básico de los derechos naturales. Cuando el Estado se vuelca de esta forma tan violenta sobre los derechos de los individuos, no hace otra cosa que querer reducirlos a esclavos, es decir, se ponen en guerra contra ellos. El capitalismo y la propiedad privada no son males necesarios, no son males. Son la base indiscutida de nuestra civilización y de nuestra misión sagrada restituirlo como piedras fundamentales de nuestras sociedades. Es decir, no creemos que el capitalismo sea moralmente correcto por el hecho de sacar a más del 90% de la población global de la pobreza, sino que logró sacarlos de la pobreza precisamente por ser el modelo más moral de todos los existentes. En este sentido, quiero citar un libro de uno de los economistas austríacos más importantes de la historia, que es profesor en la Universidad de New York, que se llama Israel Kirzner. Tiene un libro que se llama Creatividad, Capitalismo y Justicia Distributiva. Y el planteo que se hace es que es indiscutida la superioridad productiva del capitalismo versus el socialismo. Y esto es tan así que ni los socialistas lo cuestionan. Pero al sistema capitalista se lo tacha de injusto, se lo cuestiona porque distribuye mal los resultados, lo tacha en lo moral. Y lo que hace Israel Kirzner justamente es decir lo siguiente: si efectivamente el sistema es inmoral, es injusto y va reñido con la ética, por más que sea más productivo, no vale la pena defenderlo. Y ese tema, digamos, se lo toma muy en serio y básicamente con dos ideas fundamentales: el principio de apropiación de Locke, es decir, el que lo descubre se lo queda, y con la idea de Hayek del mercado como proceso de descubrimiento. Israel Kirzner prueba no solo que el sistema capitalista es el único que puede ser eficiente, sino que al mismo tiempo prueba que es el único sistema justo. Y eso les duela o no les duela a los socialistas, nuestro sistema no solo es más productivo, sino que es el único que está de mano de la moral y de la ética, no como el sistema asesino de ellos. Por lo tanto, sin el capitalismo estaremos condenados a las miserias de las sociedades planificadas, que no son otra cosa que sociedades esclavistas con mucho mejor marketing. Lo que ellos llaman el Estado presente, o en inglés el welfare state, no es más que la frase que dicen para ocultar que en el fondo su camino es el camino de servidumbre. Aquí quiero hacer alguna también mención a una obra muy importante de uno de los economistas anarcocapitalistas más importantes del mundo, que es el profesor Jesús Huerta del Soto, en un trabajo que se llama La teoría de la eficiencia dinámica. Y en ese trabajo lo que él busca es determinar cuál es el sendero óptimo del crecimiento. Y después de hacer unas disquisiciones sobre distintos aspectos de la teoría económica, lo que señala es muy fuerte, porque dice: nada que sea injusto puede ser eficiente. Es decir, en el altar de la eficiencia paretiana con el que trabajamos los economistas, no debería haber lugar alguno sobre algo que es injusto. Y al mismo tiempo señala: todo aquello que sea eficiente, además, inexorablemente tiene que ser justo. Y eso es está arraigado a lo que son nuestros valores occidentales, los valores de Occidente, que son los valores judeocristianos. Y es más, a prueba de ejemplo, cuando tengo reuniones de gabinete, digo, siempre hay una regla. Siempre los valores éticos y morales están por encima de lo que dicta el utilitarismo político. No hay concesiones para hacer lo que está bien, y cuando ustedes hacen lo que es justo y éticamente correcto, el país va a prosperar. En este sentido, sepan que mi misión en Argentina no es otra cosa que devolvernos a este sentido común olvidado por una clase política encandilada de poder, acostumbrada a atribuirse y apropiarse de los logros y el esfuerzo de sus ciudadanos libres. Pasando estrictamente a lo que es Argentina, como todos bien saben, mi partido viene de una victoria histórica en las elecciones legislativas. Hicimos todo lo que la política clásica decía que no había que hacer, y lo único que nos guió a nosotros en la toma de decisiones fue los criterios éticos y morales, y los argentinos de bien respondieron contundentemente con un gran triunfo. Ganamos ampliamente en votos a nivel nacional e incluso llegamos a remontar una diferencia de más de 14 puntos en la provincia de Buenos Aires, que concentra 1/3 de la población del país. Fueron meses muy duros para los argentinos, donde por culpa del golpe económico que la oposición intentó llevar a cabo desde el Congreso, la economía del país se vio ralentizada, generando incertidumbre y malestar en los ciudadanos. En consecuencia, me pasé los últimos meses recorriendo todo el país para pedirle a los argentinos que no se rindan, para prometerles que esta vez el esfuerzo sí valdría la pena. Y esta promesa no fue en vano, no es un compromiso que me tomo a la ligera, es un pacto sagrado con la gente que ha refrendado el camino de este gobierno y nos ha dado las herramientas para llevar adelante las reformas que el país necesita con urgencia. Por todo esto, considero relevante una vez más agradecer la confianza del pueblo argentino, confianza sin la cual nada de esto sería posible. Pero, ¿por qué decimos que esta vez el esfuerzo vale la pena? Porque lo que está en juego en esta elección era verdaderamente gigantesco. Estas elecciones fueron un plebiscito entre dos modelos de país, el modelo de la libertad y el capitalismo, con el orden fiscal como principal caballo de batalla, o el modelo de la servidumbre, que describimos como su Goliat, el déficit, la emisión monetaria, la deuda y obviamente el empobrecimiento. Como mencioné antes, desde hace meses venimos recibiendo bombardeos sistemáticos desde el Congreso. Casi todos los economistas del país insistían, en medio de un ataque legislativo al superávit fiscal, que nuestro programa económico estaba terminado, y se agarraban de la evolución del precio de los activos y la suba del riesgo país para fundamentarlo. Nosotros, por otro lado, decíamos que el programa fiscal y cambiario era sólido, porque el superávit es innegociable, porque dejamos de emitir hace más de un año y porque el Banco Central está capitalizado por primera vez en muchos años. Y una vez despejado el ruido político, ¿qué pasó? El mercado argentino tuvo su mayor suba histórica en un día, su mayor suba histórica en una semana y sigue subiendo, al margen que además bajó el riesgo país más de 400 puntos. En definitiva, pasó lo opuesto exacto de aquel infame 12 de agosto de 2019, en donde protagonizamos uno de los mayores desplomes bursátiles en la historia del mundo por la mera posibilidad de que el kirchnerismo volviera al poder. Que dicho sea de paso, no es ni más ni menos que una de las sucursales del socialismo del siglo XXI y que en algún lugar de la costa este ha entrado. Aquí. Se disfrazan de corderos y son peor que el peor de los rapaces lobos. Si hay algo que quedó en claro con esto, es la realidad de lo que nosotros llamamos de forma resumida riesgo cuca, o sea, el riesgo kirchnerista, o sea, el riesgo del socialismo. Pudimos ver en números la magnitud del riesgo político con el que nuestro programa económico siempre tuvo que lidiar. Y esto es así porque tenemos en Argentina un sector de la política tan destructivo, tan ajeno a los principios básicos de la economía y del bien común, que su mera presencia le pone a todo el país una base de riesgo altísima. Y ahora que están más lejos que nunca de volver al poder, es que podemos despejar ese miedo. Históricamente, la mayoría de los planes de estabilización exitosos en el mundo tuvieron consenso político. Lo que pasó en Argentina fue algo inédito. ¿Llevamos adelante un plan de estabilización exitoso con consenso social? Sí, pero sin consenso político. Pero los embates desestabilizadores fueron profundamente dañinos para la sociedad. Como bien saben, el riesgo político no afecta solamente al financiamiento del Estado, sino al crédito de toda la economía. La locura kirchnerista hace que todas las empresas paguen más caro el financiamiento, que tomen menos gente, que hagan menos obras y que se pueda vender menos a crédito. La locura kirchnerista vuelve más caro los préstamos hipotecarios y prendarios y las tasas de financiamiento de tarjeta de crédito. Ante este panorama, muchos querían que resolviéramos un problema de riesgo estructural con política monetaria. Querían que inyectáramos pesos para solucionar un problema de confianza y caía en la demanda de dinero. Puesto en términos económicos, querían solucionar la caída de demanda aumentando la oferta. Puesto en términos cotidianos, nos estaban pidiendo que apagáramos un incendio echándole más gasolina. Pero entendiendo que esto solo hubiera agravado el problema, sostuvimos el esquema monetario. Volviendo al punto, convivimos con una parte del sistema político que rechaza hacer lo que la Argentina necesita. Y a esa oposición acabamos de derrotar contundentemente las urnas. Y eso es lo que importa. Argentina por fin le dijo que no a esta locura, que tanto nos ha costado a lo largo del tiempo. Argentina ha dado un paso crucial en el camino de la libertad, un paso que es una buena medida, es irreversible. Ahora, como país, nos toca compensar el tiempo perdido. Llevamos décadas de rezago en comparación con el resto de los países de la región y más aún del mundo, para la cantidad de bienes y servicios de alta demanda que podemos producir. Esto quiere decir que la convergencia de la riqueza argentina hacia los niveles del resto del mundo desarrollado será fenomenal. Estamos entrando en el camino en el cual haremos a la Argentina grande nuevamente. ¡Viva! Esto está asociado a un cambio de paradigma que se dio en Argentina en los últimos años. Estamos reencontrándonos con la fe en que la propiedad privada y el libre ejercicio de la misma, dentro de los márgenes de la ley, son el único camino para alcanzar la prosperidad. Y necesitamos asentar este cambio para que cada día menos gente sufra por la pobreza, para que cada día más gente pueda perseguir sus sueños, ya sea tener una casa en la cual criar a su familia, ya sea tener un auto que siempre quisieron, o sea poder empezar un negocio. Porque el cambio es volver a traer la libertad y la responsabilidad para todos nuestros ciudadanos. Este es el país de la libertad con el que soñamos, que es un país con el que estamos comprometidos y estamos cada día más cerca de alcanzar. Un país que se alce como faro de un occidente adormecido por las mieles del Estado presente, por los argumentos falaces de quienes ven en el capitalismo un mal necesario y quienes bregan por un Estado presente que solo trae la ilusión del bienestar, que hoy, a costa de destruir el bienestar del mañana, como ha quedado demostrado en Argentina. Y lo quiero repetir de nuevo para que quede bien claro. Un Estado presente que solo trae la ilusión del bienestar de hoy, a costa de destruir el bienestar del mañana, como ha quedado demostrado en Argentina. Y nosotros somos quienes podemos lograr este cambio y pregonarlo, porque somos heraldos de un futuro distópico, porque vivimos el futuro que tarde o temprano le va a llegar a los países que también están transitando este camino de servidumbre estatal, abrazando las nefastas ideas del socialismo del siglo XXI, o más conocido en estas tierras como los woke. Ya vivimos como décadas de estatismo convirtieron a la Argentina un país destinado a la grandeza en ruinas. Y hoy tenemos el deber y el desafío de reconstruirlo. Hoy tenemos el deber y el desafío de sentar las bases de un futuro mejor. Y lo fundamental es que 2 de cada 3 argentinos quieren este nuevo camino. Como dije el domingo 27 de octubre al recibir los resultados, 2 de cada 3 argentinos no quieren volver al pasado. Ya no quieren más socialismo del siglo XXI. Ya se dieron cuenta de la mentira. Con matices y preferencias locales, 2 de cada 3 argentinos quieren alguna versión u otra de capitalismo. Esa es la ventana de oportunidades que hoy se nos abre a todos. Nosotros tenemos la vocación de alinear a todos los actores procapitalistas del país, que representan al menos 2/3 de nuestra sociedad. Es hora de construir un gran consenso capitalista en Argentina. Y esta gran coalición del crecimiento se encuentra con una nación en la que está todo por hacerse. Un país descapitalizado por años de dirigismo irresponsable que privilegiaba el consumo por sobre la inversión. Esto es tan así que, al día de hoy, el 70% de las importaciones en Argentina corresponden a bienes de capital e insumos productivos. El sector privado ya sabe lo que tiene que hacer, conoce las oportunidades y entiende que el momento para aprovecharla es ahora. Fruto de la capitalización que recién estamos comenzando a ver y que seguirá acrecentando con los años, Argentina explotará recursos y hará crecer industrias hoy subdesarrolladas. Por poner algunos ejemplos, tenemos prácticamente la misma cantidad de cabeza de ganado que hace 30 años. Una locura para un país famoso por la calidad de su carne. En línea con esto, quisiera agradecer al presidente Donald Trump y a toda su administración por haber alcanzado un acuerdo por la cuota de carne argentina 4 veces superior a la anterior. Esto no es más que uno de los acuerdos comerciales que Argentina y Estados Unidos se deben hace muchos años y que entre ambos países estamos trabajando por rectificar. Para continuar profundizando la idea, Argentina no exporta un gramo de cobre cuando Chile, que comparte cordillera con nosotros, exporta 20.000 millones de dólares al año. De la misma forma, vamos camino a que el petróleo y el gas supongan ingresos por entre 30.000 y 40.000 millones de dólares anuales de acá al 2031. Tenemos un sector vitícola que hoy representa menos de un 3% de nuestras exportaciones, con una capacidad de proyección e inversión enorme. Y lo mismo puede decirse prácticamente de cualquier sector, sea infraestructura, turismo, lácteos, granos o industria del conocimiento. Contamos con una diversidad geográfica tal que permite prácticamente cualquier ser humano del planeta que decida invertir en Argentina puede explotar sus conocimientos de manera provechosa para exportar sus talentos al resto del planeta. Ahora, gracias a la normalización de nuestra macroeconomía y al correcto funcionamiento del régimen de grandes inversiones, tenemos las condiciones económicas y políticas para hacerlo. Y a eso se le suma por primera vez que tenemos los incentivos correctos para hacerlo. No por nada, ya hemos tenido anuncios por más de 100.000 millones de dólares en el último año, de los cuales más de 50.000 ya se encuentran en distintas instancias de aprobación. Por eso, debemos seguir avanzando en este sendero, en este sentido. Sepan que a partir de diciembre tendremos el Congreso más reformista de la historia argentina. Y esto no solo porque nuestro espacio ya cuenta con el tercio necesario para sostener nuestros decretos y vetos, sino porque además, junto con el resto de los miembros económicamente racionales del Congreso, que por suerte cada vez son más, construiremos las mayorías políticas que hacen falta para aprobar las reformas que Argentina necesita. En este sentido, hablamos de una modernización laboral para actualizar las condiciones bajo las cuales se genera empleo en Argentina, acomodándolas a estándares internacionales para poder aumentar la cantidad de trabajadores pertenecientes al sistema formal. Hablamos de profundizar el camino de la desregulación y la baja de impuestos para seguir reduciendo el gran costo argentino, para que cada vez más y más empresas puedan ser rentables en Argentina, potenciando nuestra capacidad productiva a niveles insospechados. Hablamos de reformar las leyes penales para que el crimen sea perseguido y castigado, porque no existe crecimiento económico sin la defensa de la vida, la propiedad, que no es otra cosa que el fruto del trabajo de cada uno. En Argentina, el que las hace, las paga. En Argentina no hay monto mínimo de robo que se perdona. Se los condena a todos los robos. Sin ir más lejos, muchos recordarán la historia de Sodoma. Justamente, Sodoma era una ciudad en la que se podía robar, estaba permitido robar, y así terminó destruida. En este sentido, hablamos de reformar las leyes penales para que el crimen sea perseguido y castigado, porque no existe crecimiento económico sin la defensa del derecho a la vida y la propiedad privada, como decía recién. Estas reformas nos permitirán grabar en piedra este camino y permitirán que todos los argentinos puedan crecer con la certeza de que el esfuerzo y el trabajo duro valen la pena, que la calidad de la vida mejora año a año, que sus hijos tendrán una vida que ellos no pudieron siquiera imaginar, porque a fin de cuentas la Argentina del futuro, con todas sus bondades bien aprovechadas, es inimaginable para cualquiera de nosotros. Y en este sentido quiero invitarlos a formar parte del futuro que estamos construyendo. Quiero invitarlos a que inviertan en este país y demuestren el poder y la superioridad moral del capitalismo, que sean parte de la redención que el pueblo argentino necesita y que servirá de ejemplo para el resto del mundo. Por todo esto, quiero darles las gracias por escucharme. Que Dios bendiga a América, que la fuerza del cielo nos acompañen y ¡viva la libertad, carajo! ¡Viva la libertad, carajo! ¡Viva la libertad, carajo! ¡Make America great again!
Gracias, presidente.
Felicitaciones, presidente.
Muchísimas gracias.
Es un gran privilegio, un honor como alcalde de Miami y presidente de American Business Forum, conjunto con el CEO y fundador de American Business Forum, entregarte un obsequio que es importante para los residentes de Miami, para los argentinos en el extranjero, para los pro-capitalistas y los anticomunistas. Es parte de la ADN de nuestra ciudad ser libre y de libre comercio. Así que agradecemos mucho tu presencia y con esto te entregamos nuestro corazón y la llave de nuestra gran ciudad. Por nada, presidente. Gracias a ti. Gracias por venir y honrarnos con su presencia.
Gracias, presidente. Este American Business Forum nació para unir al mundo y no para dividir. Y algo muy interesante que escuché que dijo después de la elección fue: yo bajo la inflación para todos los argentinos, para los que me votaron y para los que no me votaron. Me parece que es un mensaje muy importante, sobre todo porque después de la estridencia política y de las elecciones, yo creo que lo más importante es que todos queremos trabajar y progresar y vivir en paz. Así que me parece que ese es el mensaje también para el mundo. Gracias, presidente.
Aquí una foto. Hay algunos argentinos aquí, yo creo. Yo no te escucho, no te escucho, no te escucho. Aquí tenemos el presidente.
¡Viva la libertad, carajo! Vamos. Gracias, presidente.
Gracias, presidente.
Gracias. Un placer.
¡Viva la libertad, carajo! Muchas gracias.
Buenísimo, me encanta.
PIF is one of the world's largest and fastest growing sovereign wealth funds. The United States is PIF's most important market outside of Saudi Arabia. Since 2017, PIF has directed $170 billion into the U.S. economy, fueling growth, creating opportunities, jobs, and contributing $33 billion to U.S. GDP. Together with our U.S. partners, U.S. businesses, and top global asset managers, we're advancing innovation across mobility, aviation, renewables, sport, technology, finance, and more. Strengthening markets and creating long-term value across both nations. PIF's deep U.S. commitment spans across sectors, from $23.8 billion U.S. equities and our New York office to Live Golf, CONCACAF, FIFA Club World Cup, Surge Stake in PFL, and Sanabills as one of Silicon Valley's largest backers in next-generation technology companies. From shared investments to shared ambition. Anchored by major stakes in Lucid Motors, Savvy's $8.5 billion acquisitions of Scopely and Niantic, and Google Cloud AI centers. Our partnership is building opportunities that reach far beyond today. Looking to 2030, PIF's U.S. partnership grows even stronger, creating over 500,000 American jobs and building long-term prosperity across both nations. From vision to value, PIF is invested in better.
moments when opportunity comes knocking and you have the chance to say yes. When things that previously seemed impossible are now within reach. As a dedicated financial partner, we help you accomplish your largest business goals and realize your most cherished personal dreams, bringing your possibilities a little closer. City National Bank. Say yes to possibility.
At the Adam Smith Center for Economic Freedom, you don't just learn, you achieve. Through our interdisciplinary Bachelor of Science in Business and Government Leadership, you'll gain perspective, innovate, and connect with real-world leaders.
It starts with me.
It starts with me.
It starts with me. It starts with you.
Leadership starts here.
PIF is one of the world's largest and fastest growing sovereign wealth funds. The United States is PIF's most important market outside of Saudi Arabia. Since 2017, PIF has directed $170 billion into the U.S. economy, fueling growth, creating opportunities, jobs, and contributing $33 billion to U.S. GDP. Together with our U.S. partners, U.S. businesses, and top global asset managers, we're advancing innovation across mobility, aviation, renewables, sport, technology, finance, and more. Strengthening markets and creating long-term value across both nations. PIF's deep U.S. commitment spans across sectors, from 23.8 billion U.S. equities and our New York office to Live Golf, CONCACAF, FIFA Club World Cup, Surge Stake in PFL, and Santabills as one of Silicon Valley's largest backers in next-generation technology companies. From shared investments to shared ambition. Anchored by major stakes in Lucid Motors, Savvy's $8.5 billion acquisitions of Scopely and Niantic, and Google Cloud AI centers. Our partnership is building opportunities that reach far beyond today. Looking to 2030, PIF's U.S. partnership grows even stronger, creating over 500,000 American jobs and building long-term prosperity across both nations. From vision to value, PIF is invested in better.
Moments when opportunity comes knocking and you have the chance to say yes. When things that previously seemed impossible are now within reach. As a dedicated financial partner, we help you accomplish your largest business goals and realize your most cherished personal dreams,